Hey everybody, this is Melina from ScrapbookingWithMe.com and Me Crafty Scrapper here on YouTube and Instagram and over on Facebook at Me Crafty Scrapper Creates. That's my business page. We are going over something that it is a viewer request. I've had this request many times and I'm just now getting to it, so I apologize for that. But I've had many message me asking, where do I begin? I want to make journals. I want to junk journal. I don't know where to begin. What do I need? What kind of starter kit do I need to start journaling? Now, I'm going to go over the 10 things that I have to have, must-haves for me to junk journal. There are probably plenty of other videos out there telling you other things that you will need that they use. This is just me personally. So this is what I use. I'm making this video for y'all, and it's what I use. So there might be somebody else that has plenty of other things that they have to have, but this is my top 10 must-haves for making a journal. Number 1, stained paper. Now, if you are more of a shabby chic kind of person and don't like the vintage grungy look, you can just use regular old premium copy paper. I wouldn't recommend regular copy paper because it tears. It's so thin, it tears easily. But if you don't want a stained look, then go for just regular old copy paper, or regular old premium copy paper, sorry. That is the 29 to 32 pound weight of copy paper for the pages in your journal. Now, I have a basic journal for beginners video tutorial that I will link in the description box below. This is it. This was the journal that I made in that video. And the only thing extra in this that I have other than my top 10, and you will see, is the paper bag. There is a paper bag there. I have a brown one in here, and then I have this pharmacy one here, a vintagey pharmacy bag there. That's the only thing in this book that is over and beyond my top 10. You will see everything that I'm showing in my top 10 in this basic journal. And like I said, I am linking that in the description box below. So number 1 is stained paper. And you will see there is stained paper all through this. And I have stained this ledger paper some. Ledger paper is another thing that might not be in my top 10 or anybody else's top 10, but I love to put ledger paper in my journals. Okay, and that ledger paper comes from Walmart, really cheap, and lots of pages in it. So stained paper, that's number 1. Okay. Number 2, my number 2, and might not be on anybody else's, but my number 2 in the top 10 must-haves for me to make a junk journal is scrapbook paper or cardstock. Printed scrapbook paper and cardstock. Stuff like this makes it so easy to make pockets if you don't want to decorate, to make your covers if you don't want to make it out of fabric. So scrapbook paper, and I know lots of people have lots of scrapbook paper in their stash, so no need to even buy any extra if you have scrapbook paper. That is what the cover of this is. It's just a piece of scrapbook paper that I had in my stash. And open it up, it's got music on one side, it's double-sided, it has some gold foil on it, and that was just a piece of scrapbook paper out of my stash. That's 90% of the time what I use as the cover of my soft cover journals is scrapbook paper. So even if you just have some 8.5 by 11, you can still use that. You don't have to have 12 by 12 paper. This is some from Die Cuts with a View that is currently my favorite. I don't know that we can even get this anymore. If any of y'all are interested, we can try to see if we can get this back into the shop. But it is some of the most beautiful scrapbook paper I've ever seen, and it has gold foil in it. So that is my number 2 thing that I have to have when I'm making a junk journal, and that is scrapbook cardstock. Now this is cardstock weight, it is not paper, so it makes really good covers for your soft cover journals. Okay, number 3, and this stuff is all grouped together because you have to have a book binding system of some kind. So book binding system is, for me, waxed thread. We sell this in the shop at scrapbookingwithme.com. You can get this off Amazon. Waxed thread is everywhere. And the reason why I like waxed thread and not just like crochet thread or something like that, this is so much easier to get through your holes that you've created for your journal when it's waxed. So this is like a tan color. I love this waxed thread. We have the tan color wax thread in our shop. You need a blunt ended needle of some kind, and you need an awl, A-W-L. So a sharp point, we carry these, we carry blunt needles, we carry wax thread in the shop. You need a book binding system to put your journals together. So all 3 of these things have to go together to make a journal. So that is my number 3 item on my top 10 must-haves. You gotta have a bookbinding system of some kind to put a journal together. Number 4 on my list is old books. I love vintage books. Used to, when I would make mini albums and books, I didn't have any old books. I've had plenty of gracious people, customers and subscribers have sent me old books and hymnals and music books of certain kinds, dictionaries, things like that. And now I have a good supply, and our local library has discarded sections in their, it's, for us it's upstairs, and it's either very discounted or completely free, or like at our local library, I can fill up ever how many I can get in a Walmart bag, so any kind of like department store bag, fill a bag up for $1. And they're going to discard them anyways. They're going to destroy them anyways. You might as well get them and use them in your journals. And I love using book pages in my journals. So the bookbinding system, there's that wax thread I was talking about, and I had to use the awl to make my holes, and then I used the needle to thread and put my signature into my cover. And then old book pages, I inked this one and it's sideways. I also have a video that was a viewer request of how to put in book pages and they're still right side up. I will link that in the description box below. I need to make myself a note of everything I need to put in the description box below. The beginner journal vid, and I'll put my tea staining papers vid down there, and then let's see, what was the other, oh, my upright book pages vid. I'm making myself notes so I'll remember what all to tag in the description box below. So I love putting book pages into my journals. It just ups that vintage aspect for me, and so I have to have some vintage book pages in my journals. Number five on my top 10 must-haves for making and putting together junk journals. And that's ephemera. So whether it be ephemera that I get out of packs from Tim Holtz or Simple Stories or whatever, or if it's digitals like this, I have to have ephemera in my journal. And I'll either put it in on a page just as decoration, or I decorate up a pocket or something. I have to have ephemera in my junk journals. And there are so many inexpensive places that you can get ephemera. You can make your own ephemera. I'm all the time making videos about making your own ephemera. So making those super, super easy. And you can look through many of my videos for making your own ephemera. I have Etsy shares quite a bit. Mom has Etsy shares on her channel quite a bit. So there are plenty of places for you to find ephemera, whether it be digital or ephemera like this that comes from Tim Holtz packs. And we try to carry all the latest and greatest as far as his stuff goes, and he has some really cute vintagey kind of stuff. And then there's other companies, Simple Stories, 49 and Market, people like that, that also have great pieces of ephemera. This is from 49 and Market, and some of their ephemera is kind of stiff, but it still serves the purpose. And I mean, look at all of that vintagey goodness. So I have to have ephemera, pieces of all kinds, whether I just put them in like this or I collage a few together and make a little ephemera cluster. All of my journals have to have that in them. Now, I haven't done much decorating at all in this book. It is a basic book, but there is a little pocket that I made and there is ephemera in it. So I have to have that. All of my journals, and everybody loves ephemera. I mean, who doesn't love little die cuts and things? So that is number 5 on my list. We're halfway through. All right, so number 6 is a paper trimmer. Now, some may not have this. I have to have a paper trimmer. Now you can use the little tear rulers and stuff like that to tear down your paper and your pages that go in your journals, but for me, as a all-in scrapbooker, that's how I began this whole paper crafting journey, is scrapbooking and old style scrapbooking. I have to have a paper trimmer. So I have one that will accommodate 12 by 12 paper. I have the smaller one from Tim Holtz that is currently on back order and has no expected ship date on it. So I don't know, as far as his manufacturer goes, what's going on with Tonic. I don't know, but this is a great little trimmer, especially if it's not 12 by 12 paper. Great trimmer to help you out. The guillotine style. Love this trimmer. So any paper trimmer that you have works. You don't have to get something special, but as soon as this one's back in stock, scrapbookingwithme.com will offer these Tim Holtz Tonic trimmers. But that is number 6 on my must-have list as far as making journals. All right, we are on number, 7? 7 on my must-have is scissors. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, you had paper trimmer and now you got scissors in your top 10. Totally 2 different things. Yes, you can cut your pages out and cut them to size if you have a very steady hand. I do not. I love having a nice sharp pair of scissors. This is the Tim Holtz Tonic scissors, and this is the 6-inch ones. We have these in the shop at scrapbookingwithme.com. This is my favorite pair of scissors. Now, I have this pair to do fussy cutting, trim off corners if I need to, things like that. I have this pair is a set of, let's see, this is the Cutter Bee scissors. We have these in the shop also. They are made by EK Success, and these are for, I mean, they can be I have two pair of these, and one pair is the sticky scissors and the other pair is for fussy cutting also. But I use my Cutter Bee scissors as my sticky scissors, and anybody that has watched any of my videos knows that if I have anything that has glue, adhesive, anything like that and needs to be trimmed down, I'm using my Cutter Bee sticky scissors. That's what I mean when I say sticky scissors. So I have these as my sticky scissors, these as my fussy cutting and trimming down scissors. I also have another pair of serrated scissors. These are also from Tim Holtz, and they have the larger grip here so you can get more fingers into that handle and more control. I really love these, and they are serrated for different kinds of like cardstocks and things. If they're textured, these help with that. These are on back order right now with our supplier. That's why they're not in the shop. I also have the Tim Holtz shears. So if you have large amounts of things you need to cut, you can stack them together if you're really good and steady-handed that way. If you have large papers that you want to cut down, the shears are wonderful for that. They get through lots of layers of things. If you have maybe a collage board, a master board, things like that, these help you out in those situations. So that's the types of scissors I have, and that is why you see that I needed a whole section just for scissors in my top 10. All right, number 8. That is inks for blending, distressing, and splattering. Mostly I use browns, and mostly I use the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks. This is the walnut stain. This one, you can see that I have put my blenders on top of these, so it's kind of washed them out. But this is the Vintage Photo Oxide, this is the Walnut Stain Oxide, and this is the Oxide in Walnut Stain, the spray. And you've seen me before splatter and vintage up things that I make, ephemera, pages, all kinds of stuff. So I love using the oxide sprays and the oxide stains to ink around the edges of things. This cover I inked around the edges. Now the blender, we have the little mini blending tools. We have the inks in our shop and in stock. These just go together. I have to have this. It just helps me have more control, and I have inked around this cover with the walnut stain with the little mini blending tools. And that just kind of goes together. I love the look of a distress ink on the edges of things. It just brings it out, just like that pocket that I showed you earlier. It has distress inking all around the edges. This could be even more distressed and grungy looking if I wanted to go in with my walnut stain and kind of dirty up even more there. Gives you a little bit more of a grungy look and a more vintage look. I love book pages with the distress inks on the edges of the book pages. Gorgeous look to me, and makes it very vintage, kind of patina looking. So I have to have inks when I am making a junk journal. All right, number 9 on my list. 9th on my list is trim. Now, whether that be lace trim, crochet thread, seam binding, baker's twine, I love using trim in my journals. When I sew in a signature in the middle of all of my signatures, I try my best to put in my signature, and it is a piece of lace, so that sticks out the top and the bottom. I also love putting baker's twine and seam binding at the tops of tags. I was looking through here to see if I've added any kind of other trim in here, but I love adding trim to any aspect of my journal, whether it be the closure. Some of my journals I just finished, you can look back at those videos. I've got trims that are my closure, whether I put a eyelet here and do the seam binding there, or glue it to the spine and put some lace over that to cover it up, and then tie it off there. I love using fabric trims, things like that in my journals, and I love to have it sticking out of the top, out the side, on a tab, whatever. But trim is ninth on my top 10, and I have to have trim in my junk journals. All right, number 10 is a given. You have to have adhesive to make a junk journal. When you're putting things into the junk journal, you need adhesive to help you out with that. When you are adding things to the tops, like if I wanted this to be permanently here, I have to have adhesive to do that. On that pocket, there is adhesive on the bottom and the side here, and on the side here, and then back here on this pocket too, so that we can have this little tuck here. So you have to have adhesive. My favorite adhesive is Barely Arts glue, and we carry that in the shop. This is in a Sugar Bell bottle with a Sugar Bell lid or top to it. We carry those in the shop also. This is the Art Glitter Glue, and there is no glitter in it. That's just the craft name for it. Art Glitter Glue, Barely Arts glue, very similar glues. Art Glitter Glue is a little more temperamental as far as temperature goes, so if you are in a hot, cold climate or very extreme one way or the other, you might have a few little issues with Art Glitter Glue, but it's still a wonderful craft glue. Barely Arts glue is my go-to. I have it in my largest Sugar Bell bottle, and that is the one that I use the most as far as liquid glue goes. If I have trims or fabrics or something like that I'm adding into my journals and I don't want to sew it on, I use Fabrifix or Fabri-Tac glue, and that is a specific craft glue just for fabrics and woods, leathers, things like that, and we do carry this in the shop as well. Glue sticks, I don't use glue sticks as much as other paper crafters do, but it is a great fast adhesive for collage and things like that, and we have this glue stick. It's acid free in our shop, and it is one of the most popular adhesives in our shop, and that's why we make sure we keep loads and loads of this photo glue stick in our shop. And then double-sided tape runners. You can have the little handheld ones. This is the large Scotch brand that I love so much. I have a little bit down here nibbling at something, making sure she's not messing up anything right at my feet. This is the Scotch Advanced Tape Glider. We used to carry this in the shop, and then it kind of become obsolete for some of our customers just because they didn't do a lot of scrapbooking anymore. I love using this in my scrapbooks and card making. I love using this in my junk journals also. It is double-sided tape, so any kind of double-sided tape adhesive or dispenser works, so you don't have to have this one, but I do have this listed in my Amazon storefront along with the refills that I use, and that is in the description box below. So that is the adhesives, and that is number 10 on my top 10 must-haves when I am making junk journals. Now, I have a few little extra alternates that didn't make the top 10, but that I love to add to my junk journals to fluff it up some, or you know, when I need help with something else I'm doing in my journal, I need these things also. And that is a non-stick craft mat. So if you're doing any kind of stamping or anything like that, or stenciling, or you're using a lot of ink in your journals, you want to have some kind of non-stick craft mat, and we have these in the shop. Everything I'm showing you today, and look, I hadn't even cleaned this one off. Everything I'm showing you today can be found in some form or fashion at scrapbookingwithme.com. I also love using clips, decorative paper clips, things like that in my journals, so I keep clips close at hand I love using stamps in my journals, any kind of stamps, and of course that goes along with the inks that I use too. Let's see, I told you earlier, ledger paper. I love using ledger paper in my journals, and I love staining the ledger paper. I get this at Walmart. Like I said, very, very cheap. It is the Norcom version of that brand of that. I also love using stencils. Y'all have seen me use stencils many, many, many times in my journals. Love that, using it with inks or with just the dauber, you know, and going around giving the page or something a little more character. Paper bags. Paper bags and envelopes of all shapes and sizes. I love adding these to my junk journals. Glassine bags gives you that nice little crinkle that you're looking for in your junk journal. Brown paper bags, just regular lunch bags work also. And you see I have added a pharmacy bag to this just general basic journal. And I have added a brown paper bag here too. They make beautiful pockets. I love, love, love adding bags to my journals. I also like to use digitals in my journals, especially if it's word labels or little pieces of ephemera or icons or something like that that I can fussy cut out and add to a page that might just be a little blank. I love adding stuff like that to my journals. Here is a journal, and this is, I have a series, a video series tutorial on this journal. This is my most grungy, vintagey journal I ever made, and this is one that I have personally kept. I could not bear to get rid of this one. It has nice, beautiful lace on the spine. It is a little bit more of a hard cover because I used a couple of layers for my cover, and it does have an expanded spine on it. This is the Journey of the Coffee Dyed, I think is what I called it, Journey of the Coffee Dyed or Coffee Stained journal, and I will list that below too. Let me make that note for myself. Journey Coffee Journal series. So I will link that in the description box below also. But just to go through, pocket here, pattern paper. This little thing here that I made in an M Scrapbusters scrap pattern paper from Scrapbook Paper, and then that is digitals there that I just cut up, ledger paper there, just something to add into a pocket. This is a library pocket. There's some ink that I did on that paper, more inking that I did there, all kinds of pattern papers and scrapbook papers that I use throughout this journal. And I love the way this one turned out. Nice and vintagey, nice and grungy. I've got all kinds of pattern papers and cardstocks in here. I've already started writing in this one, stenciling there. I have stamping in here. This is a paper bag pocket with many different layers of pockets in it. I have a video about that. Some scrap paper, layered paper flowers there. There's some more trim. That's baker's twine there. I've got lace there, lace here. See, I love how all of that, you can see it out the edges. I have a clip here. I mentioned that. I love using that. There's another little paper clip with a decorative piece of fabric on the end of it. There's another piece of lace trim that I just cut out and added there. Little envelope that I made there out of scrapbook paper. So, you know, this is a great journal series to go back and watch and see some of the basic stuff that I love adding to journals. But I thought that I would make this video because I have had many people asking, where do I begin? And this is it. This is the video for you. So go back, watch it one more time, go through your stash and see what you've got. If there's a few things that you might not have, improvise. You can always, if you don't have an awl to poke the holes for your signature, you can always do an ice pick or something that you've got in your stash, in your household stash. You don't have to have everything all up front. Don't get overwhelmed. Use what you have, and if you have questions, I'm here. Always ask, and I have my email below. You can do that if you don't want to leave a comment here under this video. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's been informative for you. Y'all have a great day. God bless. I love ya. See y'all.